Hey guys, it's Bree here.
And Alan with the Hunter and the Hippie podcast. And today, what did we talk about? We talked about our gratitude towards each other through snail mail.
Yeah.
And Bree sent me a lovely birthday card 2 months late.
Hey, don't tell them about the episode before they listen to that. Just come on. Spoiler alert.
But then we dove in a bit more about writing letters and the use of social media. We talked a bit about the beginnings of Twitter and Facebook and all of the things social and how they can be used, how they are used, and maybe how you're using them.
Yep. We want to give a special thank you to Brianna Cote Photography for our marketing materials, all the photos we use, and to the Allison Band, Alllyson, for doing our intro and outro music. And as always, a big thank you for listening today. If you have a chance to, and you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, send us a review, and you can also send us questions. We love to have some kind of inspiration for what we talk about on here. And so reach out, all that's in our show notes, and enjoy the show.
Hey, Bree.
What's going on?
The third time in 1 week.
I know.
I love it.
I know.
I love it. We're getting some FaceTime in.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely.
So I don't check my mail often.
Yeah.
And I swear our postal person, whoever delivers our mail, hates us.
Okay.
Because like it'll get to the point where like they have to like just shove shit in there, and like I think they like see it as like a task because they will like bend shit, like they will like forcibly, like I will have to like pull like one thing out at a time in order to like relieve pressure to be able to pull massive chunks out.
Yeah. Well,
like,
how often do you check your mail?
Not often. Like we've actually had mail service stopped on us because like they were like, do you still like check it? Like it's, to me, mail, it's become the most useless thing ever.
Yeah.
In some cases, this is going to be a good instance of mail, but like 95% of the shit that gets delivered to my mailbox goes right into the recycle bin.
That's true.
Right? Like it is just a garbage pail of shit.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not until like, oh, something was delivered at your mailbox that like you ordered, like Amazon or from like some company, whatever, right, is when I usually go to the mailbox.
Yeah.
Right. Or like, oh, it's my birthday, I know there's going to be birthday cards in there, like let me go check the mail.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's probably been at least 2 weeks since I've checked the mail.
Yeah.
And so and it showed. So anyway, so I went and I checked the mail, and I got a letter.
Oh yeah.
And who's this letter from? Right, this letter, if you're on video, it has an old man rocking out, and he's wearing like a rock shirt,
and he's got a big old beard.
Yes, he has a big old beard and a cane. So I don't know what you're saying about me. But I was like, oh my God, that's so cute. Like, and I was like, oh, the one thing that isn't gonna be junk. And then I was like, maybe, because like junk mail has gotten really good at like disguising their shit.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, we'll see. And I like flip it over, and then I see it's you. And I was like, oh, B. Allison. I was like, I know her.
Yeah.
And I was like so excited. I was like, oh my God, I got mail. And then the card, I'm not going to share the card with everyone because it's none of your fucking business. But I'm not going to share the front of the card. And it was the same picture of like the old man and woman and with his beard and rocking out. And it says, growing old happens, growing up is optional. And then just the inside is, you'll always be more rock and roll than rocking chair rock on. But yeah, I love mail when it's this.
Yeah.
Like, mail, like it's so fucking cool. And like, I'm so grateful for your message that you wrote in here.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not sharing because it's none of anyone's fucking business what you wrote. But just the fact that you took the time to write me a lovely card and go and mail it, and right, like you went to a mailbox because like those things don't necessarily exist everywhere anymore. uh, you took time out of your day to do that, and I love it. And I think that uh, we can do, and I'm gonna make this. So I started. I don't know if you're on my mailing list or not, but I started not a newsletter.
Yeah.
Definitely not a newsletter that I send out weekly. And it just has like random things in there. And one of the things is a weekly task.
Yeah.
And I've actually been thinking about this, and I'm gonna make this the weekly task is write a letter to someone.
Yeah.
And because it's fucking cool. Like you go to your mailbox and like if you do go to your mailbox, if like you do check your mail often, like what's in there? Junk and bills.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's never anything fun unless it's your birthday or Christmas or something, right? So I was really excited to get this.
Yeah.
And and also what makes me think of it, so my uncle, who is I think he's 70 or 72 now, something like that. Whenever we travel, like if I travel, I'll get him a postcard and send him a postcard from wherever I am. And whenever he travels, he does the same. And so, and even if it's just like he went to Florida and he was there for like family stuff, and he like saw my sister and everything, but he still sent a postcard. So I love that. I love that he thinks of me and sends me a postcard. So I growing up, my grandfather, my pop. So I had my mother's father, who I called Pop, and then my father's father was Grandpa, and Grandpa wasn't around for long in my life. I forget what year he died, but I wasn't too young, or I wasn't too old. I think I was like 4 when he died. And then my pop lived a little bit longer. I want to say he died when I was like 8 or 9, something like that. But my pop, my mother's father, he and I used to write letters to each other.
Yeah.
And I got to see if I can find it, because like I thought I kept it, but I remember I had this box that I forget, like every week or once a month. I don't even remember. Right? I was a young kid, but we would write letters to each other.
Yeah.
And that was cool. And I've been thinking about doing that with my uncle, because I think he would appreciate it. Like he lives alone. He's a widow now, and yeah, I think he would just appreciate that. And who doesn't appreciate getting mail?
Yeah.
So, and like that childhood memory, I think that'd be cool to have that. And then thinking about that with like other like children in our life, like that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But
I like I'll send postcards to people, and I'm also obviously I'm quite late on sending birthday cards, but I kind of like it because I'm like, you get all of them, and then all of a sudden, like a month later, you're like, another one, because then it's a surprise.
Right.
Unintentionally, but
you're 2 months behind on my birthday.
No, but you didn't check the mail for a couple weeks, so let's just remember that.
We'll chalk it up to on time then.
Yeah. It's funny. I had another friend. I like forgot to send it, and then I saw him. And okay, that's the funny thing is I had that card and forgot to give it to you when I saw you.
Right.
And I'm like, oh shoot. And then
see, but
same thing.
I love that I got it in the mail.
Yeah.
Instead of you giving it
I
to
know.
me.
It's better.
So much better in the mail.
I know. Well, and this friend, I was like, do you want me to just, because he said, I asked for his address and it was right around his birthday. And he was like, yeah, I was really excited and I kept checking the mail and nothing came. He's like, I finally gave up. And then I was like, I have it. Do you want it? And he's like, no, just still send it to me. And I was like, okay, but I'm gonna wait a little while because I want to like keep you strung along, like
keep you on your toes.
Yeah.
That's
You know
awesome.
what it is though? It's like I have a P.O. box, so I go to the post office like, once more. I do go like more than once a week, or like sometimes once a week. It's just remembering to put the cards, take the cards when I'm like going, and so they just sit on like my counter for quite some time.
That's awesome.
But
I don't care. To me, it's right. It's just like showing up to my yoga class. I don't care if you're late. I don't care if it's late. I just love that I got it.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love sending stuff. Snail mail is the way to go, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we need to do a better job of using our snail mail, right? And help each other appreciate each other more by writing letters. Write a letter to someone.
Yeah.
Write a postcard to someone. Even if you're like home, like stop at a gas station. There's postcards in in the Mavericks that we're stopping
at.
There's postcards there. Like grab one, send one to a family or friend, and like that's the cool thing. Like about like it's funny. Postcards are like the Twitter of the older generation.
Mm-hmm.
Right, you get like 143 characters. Like you don't get a whole lot of space.
And I wonder if like mail deliverers like
secretly read it.
Do you think they're like that's one of their like favorite pastimes? Is like let's find the postcards and let's just see what's happening.
100%.
I want to send like a really racy postcard.
Like a picture, like make your own, like the picture is really racy, and then like write something crazy on it.
Yeah.
They like because like it's there, it's open, right?
I wonder if that's the workaround, like surveillance now. Like how there's so many like encrypted like messaging apps and things like that, encrypted mail. Like they're all so focused on technology that we should start like sending our
you just send it via mail.
Just send it through a postcard. The most obvious. And
hiding in plain sight.
They'll never find it.
Oh, that's funny. I think that's how they like did it. Honestly, I think that I'm trying to think back to the movie Bridge of Spies with Tom Hanks, where there was like a Russian spy infiltrated America, and I think they used a lot of like mail like that.
Yeah,
I think they wrote postcards, and like somehow it was like encrypted.
Yeah,
quote encrypted, right? Like
coded.
It was. And only like they knew how to decipher it, and yeah.
It reminds me of A Christmas Story. Is that when he's like he gets
the decoder?
He's in there.
The Ovaltine decoder, and he's in the bathroom.
And he's
it's like he's like feverishly trying to figure it out. They're like, I gotta use the bathroom. That's one of my favorite Christmas movies. Mom, Ralphie's in the bathroom and he won't come out.
Drink your Ovaltine.
Yeah, he's so disappointed too.
Oh yeah. Maybe I should start sending postcards and like send two. Like send the first one is like the message, and then the second postcard you sent is how to like the key to it.
Yeah. Like they get the first postcard and they're like, "Is Brie on drugs?" Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Add 3 minus 10.
Right.
That's the letter.
Right.
Oh, that'd be a pain in the ass, though.
Yes. Yeah. I think that you could probably find like easily. I'm sure, right? The Google has everything.
But that defeats the purpose.
No, I'm saying you can make up your own code for sure, but But you could just find like a code and just be like, hey, we're using this. And then do exactly what you said. Send the message.
Yeah.
And then a week later, send the code and see if they can figure it out.
Right backwards, replace vowels with, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Start
Upside
writing
down. I don't know.
in pictures, like hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
Or it's how yoga teachers communicate because we all draw in the stick figures.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we can draw yoga poses, and each pose represents a letter.
There we go.
Have our own little yoga language.
Yeah. I just discovered, well, I was running with a friend and she said one of her best business purchases was Canva Pro. Because Canva's, I don't know, I use it for like marketing stuff and whatever. But I yesterday was like, I'm going to do the 30-day free trial. And there is a really cool, you can remove a background. And so I was thinking about yoga poses because I was in my upcoming newsletter, I'm talking about, I was writing out how to do eagle arms because it's for us, it's all about the heart, or conditions of the heart is the theme for my next stuff that's going out. And so I was describing eagle arms and I'm like, it's easy to cue, right? But to write it out and have someone read it and do it. So I like wrote it out and then I'm like, I'm just going to also do a little like picture thing. Like one leads into the other. And so I took these photos and then I was doing it and I was like, I'm going to try Canva Pro, and removed the background and it looks so freaking cool.
You're going to have to send that to me because
I pick, because I know my website, I use my color, like my brand colors or whatever. So I have the background the same color as my website. So when I put it on my blog, it looks like it's not like a photo. It's like planted into my
That's
website.
Really cool.
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, I look professional.
And now you're hooked.
I know.
Canva Pro it is.
I was like, I'm actually going to do a lot more. Like, I actually think I'll make more content with that, doing that because of how good it looks.
That's awesome.
So,
I've not used Canva at all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I need up my content creation game for sure.
Do you though?
Especially for this, I do. Especially for this, like I really want this to get out there. So
yeah,
I do. I've been thinking about like Twitter, like how to use Twitter, because like apparently like you can really have an impact on Twitter.
Okay.
And I don't.
So I think the last time I really used Twitter, I was driving cross country, moving from New York to California with my friend. And we were somewhere outside of New Orleans, like back roads, whatever. We were running out of gas. We like pulled off and we're running, like we don't know where to go. This is I guess, where we could like find directions on our phone. Like I think
this is MapQuest days.
Yeah, print it out, print it out, or like maybe it was only certain area. Like when we were at people's houses, I can't remember. Like because I used Twitter. So why could we not do directions?
What year was it?
2009.
That was when the very first iPhone came out.
Okay.
Was 2009. So it's likely.
And I didn't have an iPhone originally.
Right. It's likely you didn't have access to like maps.
Yeah.
Like that.
Okay. And so like we like pull off and we're like, should we go right or left? Like we have no clue. So we turn right and we drive for a while and we're like, crap. This is not the right turn. So we turn around and we're like, are we going to run out of gas just like turning around back and forth? And so I think we pulled over, and maybe I was going to like message someone to like look it up or whatever. And this like young couple with something like written on their car pulls over and they're like, are you guys okay? And we're like, oh man, we're about to run out of gas and we don't know where to go. And they're like, oh, we know where one is. Just follow us. And so we start following him, and we were like, what if they're gonna like take us? They're like in the boonies. We're like,
I was gonna say you're in the middle of a horror movie.
yeah.
Right
We're like, what if they drive us like into the middle of like nowhere and murder us? And so I started tweeting. I was like, we exited.
Tweeting was the answer.
So if people needed to find us, they knew where to find our bodies. So like exited, whatever, like exit 60, going south, like turning.
You have like a cookie crumb trail.
Turning
on
right
Twitter.
onto here. And sure enough,
That's
they got us there. Well, and they were super sweet. They're like, we'll siphon you. We need to. We'll go get you some, bring it back. But like, we just followed them when we got there safe. But we were like, what are we doing? It's like, I'm going to tweet where we're going. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
Haven't used Twitter since then.
Yeah. I have a Twitter account, and people like will send me stuff on Twitter, and I'm like, all right. Like, and I look at it and I'm like, all right. But apparently like people like live on Twitter, and like you can get updates on all sorts of shit.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I'm in simplify mode.
Yeah.
Like how few platforms for anything I can be on, the better. And like that happened. Right. I was telling you, I think before last episode, I was switching my payment processor and went through this whole ordeal where I was switching. And then all of a sudden it was like, I'm going to have a different login and platform for POS, e-commerce, and then to track everything. And I'm like, nope, not doing it. Like I want to go one place. And I think this is like when you run your own business, like more time that I spend doing those things, less time I spend on clients. And like, yes, I have to pay bills. So like less time I spend on the things that actually pay my bills. And so it's hard for me to like rationalize now, spending all this extra time. And I know some of it's marketing, right? So it goes into it. But, you know, companies have entire departments where that person spends their entire day and gets paid to take care of it.
Right. And that's where I want to focus is I don't want to add more time to social media. It's I want to make the time spent on social media efficient and effective. Right? Like it's a tool, you know, and I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but like people will say, oh, social media is terrible. And one, it's not terrible. It just is, right? Like it's not good or bad. Social media just is, right? It's what you do with it, right? Social media is simply a tool. And I agree, like, you know, it does take away from time with clients, which is what generates revenue for you. But then there's an aspect of it that can get you more clients, right? And it can also get, you know, and it depends on the business, right? I think that has a lot to do with it, right? It depends on what you're doing. But I think it's a way of communicating with your customers, right? A way of getting thoughts out there and sharing, right? I think that it serves a purpose. And once you go beyond the purpose, it can have negative impacts, right? But I think that if you can use it for the purpose that you intend to use it for, right? Like, you know, like what's the purpose? Well, that's up to you. Yeah. Right. Again, right? Like social media, it just is. It's not good or bad, right? What's its purpose? I don't know. Right? It's up to the user what its purpose is. Yeah. Right? Its purpose changes. And I believe that, and it shows, right? There are people out there that are making millions of dollars if that's what you're after, right? Like on social media, right? There's people out there who have millions of followers if that's what you're after, right? Getting famous, right? So I believe it has a function, and it just depends on what you're trying to get out of it. And again, to my point is I just want to be, like you said, companies dedicate, like there's one person dedicated to tweeting. Yeah. Right. Like you're one person running a business. Yeah. Me, I'm one person running a brand, right? Like how can we be more efficient? And I think that tools like Canva help, and other things. But
Yeah. It's, I think what is interesting is I just also looked at like how many clients am I, or how many people am I getting from social media?
mhm,
And that's when I realized it's not worth my time. Um,
correct.
because that's that isn't a main marketing
Mhm,
revenue generator for me.
yeah.
It's not
Currently,
uh
and I say that to add along the line something like this that could potentially happen, right?
mhm,
Let's say, right, I get good at tweeting and I can help us get this show to, a quarter of what Joe Rogan is,
mhm,
right? And now more people know who you are. And now, because of, right, through not your typical product or service, but now they know who you are, what you offer,
mhm,
right? And hear you talk, and now they come to you for your services, right? So, right, it may not be your focus to drive clients, right? To be like, hey, go to Twitter so I can drive, like, let me go to Twitter to drive clients specifically for business.
mhm.
But in all the other endeavors that you have, I think, this being one of them, I think that it could be, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but it could be a potential avenue.
Yeah. It's the other part is um it depends what part of my business as well, right? So anything in person, it's not beneficial for me,
Hmm.
right? Like
Right.
I mean, sure, people who live near me can see, but I'm not getting people in Cody because of social media. I'm getting it
Right.
from building relationships. And the only
Right.
reason I've stayed on it is because my retreats and my digital offerings are something
Hmm.
where someone from anywhere um can join in, right? So
Hmm. Hmm.
that's how I've rationalized staying on. Um is really just to have a presence there. However, right, the less that you're on,
Hmm.
and the algorithms are always changing, and this
Hmm.
is why people have an entire department dedicated to
Yep.
it, is because they know how the algorithms are changing. I see so many people in like the wellness industry who are in their like 60s who have a flourishing business, and granted they have many more years on me. They don't have
Hmm.
social media,
Right.
right? So
Hmm.
it helped me just be like, I can do whatever I want with it. Like I don't, if I
Right.
choose that that's not for me, then
Right.
that's great. And part of it's too is what um I have to be in line with what I believe in and what I'm promoting health wise. And having someone glued to their phone is not in line with that. Having
Yeah.
someone consuming content, and you get to curate your content, so that's great.
Hmm.
But just even the design of it and what it does
Hmm.
can do to our brains over time
Hmm.
uh, is not in line with what I'm teaching. So
Right.
it's, yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, it really has been an ongoing just re-navigating my relationship with it, how that looks as a
Hmm.
business, how I want to be involved if I want to. Um, and again, like it's everyone gets to choose how they want to promote and run their business. And
For sure.
um, yeah, I just yeah, I don't think it's bad per se.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, we've started to like train our brain. We, I think, have a lot of low self control.
Hmm.
And so it feeds to it. And so I think it's exacerbating a lot of um, uh, challenges that we're having.
Yeah.
Um,
I think people hook on to, right, like it's another news source. It's another, right, negative thing that they get to add, right? Like, and it's like you said, it's always there, it's always running, and they're just, right, it's helping with their confirmation bias, and I think that that's where it becomes bad, quote bad,
Mm-hmm.
is that people are just consuming content that, is just bad for the mind.
When I think what's bad, what I see is bad more than even just the content is um the method or the design of it, right? Like has moved us
Mm-hmm.
into very mindless action. Like I see
Mm-hmm.
people like just open their phone and open and scroll, and I don't even think they
Mm-hmm.
realize they're doing it.
Yep.
And it's like it's like a constant.
Yep.
And that's, I think, more of my issue with it is that than necessarily the access to content, right? It's
Yep.
the fact that we are getting these like dopamine hits or whatever it might be every time we like open and scroll, and we're not connected to it. And then we're
Mm-hmm.
continuing to um, deepen that neural pathway. We're deepening that pattern. And then you see, I mean, I see it affect relationships.
Yes.
When I feel like I remember dating someone and I'd like come up and I'm like, were you just like, I went to the bathroom and you
Yeah.
like had to like, but I don't even think they notice. Like, they don't even realize
Mm-hmm.
they're doing it. It's like the person goes to the bathroom for 2 minutes, comes back, and the person, it's open and scrolling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Mm-hmm.
even just like sitting on the couch and like not even realizing you're doing it and you're right next to a human,
Right.
right? You see people at
Yep.
restaurants who are
Sitting at
out
the
to
same
dinner
table.
and they're both on their phones, or their kids
Mm-hmm.
are on their phones, the parents are on their phone.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's my issue with it, is not
Mm-hmm.
access to content is great, right?
Yep.
We have all these resources. We get to see what's possible. We can, um, except for when it's censored, we get access to content, and then we can choose um, from right uh, from what we gather. We get to make choices,
Right.
as long as censorship doesn't happen. Can't say the
Correct.
same for when that's the problem with algorithms, right? Is that now algorithms are also starting to dictate. So now it's not even your confirmation bias is dictating your echo chamber, but someone else is. Like
Yes.
tech companies are now in control of our echo chamber.
Yes. Yeah. And they're muting what they don't want you to see,
Mm-hmm.
and unmuting, or you know boistering, or putting it out there what they do want you to see.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why everyone, right, like, Elon Musk just bought Twitter, and everyone's losing their fucking mind.
Yeah,
and
he's gonna keep it
and
free.
and right, and
Like,
it's crazy because they're losing their mind because of that, right? It's gonna be free and you're mad, like,
yeah,
that's a problem,
yeah,
right? Oh, well, what about hate speech? What about this? What That exists in the world,
yeah.
right? That is a part of free speech. Free speech is free, but it's not free of consequences of your speech, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think we've talked about this before, right? Like, it doesn't matter. Free is free.
Mm-hmm.
There's not free doesn't have an asterisk with conditions.
Yeah.
And and I like, people are like, oh, he's going to ruin it. Like, how do you know? Like, you have no clue what he's going to do.
And that was the essence of Twitter, right? Like the
Right.
the building block, right, was that kind of was the freedom, and then it all changed. But
I remember thinking back to Twitter, and like when it first started, I still remember this, that we were out to dinner. I was at I was working for a company called Waste Management, and we were out to dinner at Fleming's, and there was like 20 people at dinner, and people started talking about Twitter, and it was like new. It was like, oh, what's this Twitter thing? And I don't even remember like where the conversation went, but like it was this new thing, like
Yeah.
talking about like what can you say in 143 characters, and right, like, and like it was just a bunch of folks like wondering like what the fuck, like what are you gonna do with this?
What?
And
Oh, go ahead.
and
Sorry. Yeah.
I know, and now it's like raw, we need Twitter, right? Like,
Well, the funny thing is, there was a period where people just, and this happened on Facebook for a while,
mhm,
people just would post about their day. And I remember there was
yeah.
the joke like, I just took a dump. I just finished my coffee.
uh,
Like people
I
like narrated their days.
it would prompt you. It would like Facebook would be like, "What are you doing right now?" Like it would prompt you for that.
Yeah.
I totally remember
Oh
that.
my gosh.
That's hilarious.
So I think my first Instagram post was a photo of these nachos from this restaurant bar that I would go to on the Upper West Side in New York. And they
Uh-huh.
had these jalapenos that were like deep fried, like breaded jalapenos on top of it. And they were like
Hmm.
so good. And I'm pretty sure that was like one of my first
That's awesome.
like Instagram photos.
So all right. So we're going here. I love that. I thought Instagram was the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah.
I didn't, and like now I'm all over it. I thought it was the stupidest thing ever, and I didn't have one. And it wasn't until 2012
Yeah.
when I started at a new company, and I started an Instagram for my dog,
Yeah.
and that's what that was when I got Instagram,
Yeah.
and uh, and I remember like I would post pictures of like my dog and like
Yeah.
hashtag dogs of Instagram and literally it was just my dog's Instagram and I was running it and like I would follow other dog accounts
Yeah.
and it's so silly thinking about it and like that was like Instagram for me
Yeah.
and then like I stopped doing that because I was like this is dumb
Yeah.
and it wasn't really until I went to Italy in I think like one of my first pictures that I posted like as like my account was I was in Barnes and Nobles. I'd have to look, but I was in Barnes and Nobles. I'm pretty sure I posted. Uh, it was a picture of like the like self help section, and it was a bunch of books, a bunch of the blah 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 for dummies, and
Yeah.
I think it was like Instagram for dummies
Yeah.
in a book format, and I was like, oh, the irony.
Yeah. I started an account and then I just didn't keep it going. I think there was like 3 photos, but it was called Dogs Who Can't Even, and it was inspired by the dogs who just like are on a walk and they just stop.
Uh-huh. That's
But then
awesome.
I was like, I didn't have enough like photos for that, so I would just do like those dogs who they just look like they're pouting. They're like,
Yeah.
who can't even.
Uh-huh. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm glad we both had dog Instagram accounts.
Yeah, which is funny because I didn't own a dog, and I just was like, I would just
That's
take photos
awesome.
though, like the ones that are like getting dragged across. They just stop in their walk. They're the funniest dogs. They're the best. I wish I kept that
uh,
going.
I bet yeah that would be awesome. I bet you'd have 1 million followers.
I know. That is like someone was telling me like their ex-girlfriend or something started one of those. Speaking of dogs, Emma, she's looking at the wires. Maybe I need to give her.
Give her a sedative.
I know. Um.
Bree's not drugging her dog. People,
No,
relax.
she got spayed. So, and I'm trying not to give her the chill meds, just the pain, whatever the other ones are, the anti-inflammatories. So this person didn't even own, I don't know what it was, like a dachshund or something.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't own a dachshund, but she started Dachshunds of Instagram, and she literally like makes all this money from like reposting other people's photos of dachshunds and like
That's insane.
get sponsors reaching out to her, like all this stuff. And it's just why, like, I remember him telling me, like, yeah, she never owned a dachshund, like, just
She hates dogs.
she just like started it, and it's like she is. I mean, that's what it's like when people buy web domains, right? Like you buy
Right.
something with the hopes that it's something that will get so important and popular that someone will want to buy it from you.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I remember Facebook, when Facebook came out too. I started using Facebook to play a game called Mob Wars.
Oh.
And like that was it. Like all I wanted to do was play this dumb game on Facebook.
Yeah. We when I lived in the Hamptons, we started a Facebook.
That's the most pretentious thing I think you've ever said.
I know. I was, you know,
when I lived in the Hamptons.
I lived there a few summers actually. I summered in the Hamptons.
I summered I took my helicopter to the summer house in the Hamptons.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Funny thing is, I remember being out one night with some friends, and these were people who actually like owned houses and summered in the Hamptons, and you just I'm out there, so I became friends with them, whatever. I remember them being like, yeah, I can just like I'll send you home in a cab tomorrow, like send this person back to Manhattan. He's like, I'll pay for your cab back to Manhattan. It's 3-hour drive.
Right.
I'm like, casual. Yeah. You know, like that's the scene there. But all that to say, we started a Facebook page called That's So Hamptons, and we would take photos when we were out in the Hamptons of stuff that just basically like was like over the top, but like so Hamptons.
Right.
It was
taking
funny.
a helicopter to your house in the Hamptons.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That would have been a good one to keep going, but
yeah, I bet. I'm sure there's something out there that is like that.
Yeah. Oh man. What's
crazy past lives?
What is that? Yeah, there's that LA one that I followed for a while, like things you overhear. Like there's some Instagram that was just like, I can't overheard LA, I think. Really? I might be making that up, but it would just be the funniest stuff that people just like overheard someone else saying, and so then they submit it, and it's
That's great. There's a lot of Instagram pages like influencers in the wild that they'll take like videos of people like taking videos of themselves for like Instagram and stuff, and like they'll be like twerking or like standing in the middle of the street trying to take a picture, like stopping traffic. And,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's a few good pages out there that I love to follow that give me a good chuckle.
What's that ski one?
Jerry
of the day. That one.
Jerry of the day.
Oh man.
That's a good one.
There's definitely some good laughs there.
Yes.
Oh. Yeah. See, not all bad.
It's not, and that's the thing. It's you could find like it's whatever, right? Like you get to curate, like you said, you get to curate what you're seeing, and you know, like there's great like humor, like laughing.
Yeah.
You should laugh. You should laugh at yourself, laugh at other people.
Yeah.
Right. Just don't take it too seriously.
Yeah. And it's just, I think, again, it's like, it's being connected to what when you're using it, right? And also it's just, holy moly, like how much time gets spent on there for people. Like, I think that was my big transition away from being on there. And now I'm like in a middle place. Like I went off completely for a month and was like, I'm only going on once a month. And now I'm like, okay, I'm like dabbling, but it's actually really nice because I sometimes like, oh, did I go a week? Cool. You know, because there was a part of me that realized, and I even have my like limits on it, right? Like a 20-minute a day limit. So even with that, like, but I would get into that just like habit of just opening it up, and
Right.
I'm like, I have other things that I want to use that time. I want to use my time differently, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to use my time consuming, right? Just in
Yep.
general. I want intentional consumption. I want to be like, have the power of it, um and then use all those little bits of time either for downtime or put it together to read more pages out of a book, or um, create more valuable content
Mm-hmm.
versus just
Work on
consuming it.
right. Work on marketing. Work on your business. Right.
Yeah.
Like the time adds up,
Mm-hmm.
and you can definitely be more use your time more valuably. Right.
Yeah. And I'm the first to admit, like, when it becomes a problem is it's a really good tool for procrastination, right? So like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting maybe stumped at how I want to, or like really overdoing a piece of my website, or stumped on what I want to write. And so what do I do? Instead of just like being in it, I'm going to like open something up and sometimes maybe find inspiration from it, right? But
Mm-hmm.
it can be so much more, it's used so much more as a distraction.
Yep.
And I think it is really affecting our brains and how our ability to focus, our
Mm-hmm.
ability to create hopeful habits.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Agree. It's about being mindful. Being
yeah.
mindful of the situations you're in, right? Who's around you, and just, yeah, everything that we talked about.
Yeah.
Good shit.
Man. Is that it?
Yeah, I'm sure. That's it.
Yeah.
Good.
Do you
I'll
want me to
bring us
do
home with
breath,
a
or you want to do
yeah,
journal?
yeah. I'll do journal. Close it out with the breath, and everyone will be on their way.
Gosh, what kind of breath do I do for social media talk?
Hold your breath.
Look at something on social media and see how your breath pattern changes.
Yes. Yeah,
Honestly, though,
because
well, like,
it
I'm
will.
joking about that, but like, notice how your
Mm-hmm.
nervous system handles, like, I don't remember, it was in the fall. I had a weird day and I
Mm-hmm.
was just feeling like angsty. This like
Mm-hmm.
out of nowhere. And I realized it had been like what I had consumed on Instagram. It was during, and then
Yeah.
maybe we talked about it on one of these episodes. It was like during the Rittenhouse stuff, and like I don't know, there was just like a lot of content that was like, ah. And
Yeah.
I just put my phone, I was like, I need to go for a run. I need to get out. I need to
Mm-hmm.
clear it. And I knew that my nervous system was like that because of what I was
Yeah.
consuming, because of social media. And so that's what we're talking about, is like, use it, but see how it's serving you. See if it's
Right.
serving you. Um see how your body is and your mind is reacting to it.
Mm-hmm.
Take a break so you have something to compare it to. Like,
Yep.
how do you feel after taking a week-long break or a month-long
Yeah.
break of just not going on there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But
That was the journal prompt.
was that
That was it. Like I'll add to it by saying this, right? Like I mean, she nailed it. Like you did. You nailed that, right? Like I'll add to it by saying this, that whether it's the Rittenhouse thing or Ukraine, or right, like we've become so desensitized to this terrible shit,
mm-hmm.
right? Violence, like acts of violence, murder, like fucking bombs going off, right? Like it, social media has desensitized us, and at the same time it overly has sensitized us, right, to our point, right? Like it's stimulating your nervous system and it is impacting you, right? But like you're scrolling and you see, oh, Ukraine's getting bombed, and you're just like, oh yeah, yep, another building blows up, right? But what you don't realize is your brain knows there's people in that building, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
shit is happening physiologically in your body, right? When that shit is happening, right? And so what are you consuming? Literally, what are you consuming?
Mm-hmm.
and you think, oh no, it doesn't impact me. No, everything impacts you.
Yeah.
You're a fucking liar. If you think it doesn't impact you, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Everything has an impact. Everything, literally everything has an impact.
Yeah.
And good or bad, right? We're not going to get into that, but good or bad is irrelevant. But it does have an impact on you,
Mm-hmm.
and try to see that. Try to see how. Right? Are you holding your breath when you're seeing that shit, or are you breathing properly? Are you?
Yeah. It's
What's going on?
the desensitization it is really crazy to think about, because obviously like people in professions that have to experience that kind of stuff, like firefighters, police officers,
Mm-hmm.
um, military, um, like for them to function and survive in their roles, like they become like quote unquote desensitized to it. I believe that there's things still lodged in the bot, like they're still taking it in. It's still going to impact them if it's not processed and discharged.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I saw like at fire prom, like they were telling, there's awards and there's just, they would share exceptional performance and exceptional life saving, and they would share the story of what happened, and I could feel, I was like, my eyes were welling up, and it's,
Mm-hmm.
but forever, like all the people who work there, that's just another day,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's just a day in the
Mm-hmm.
office.
Yep.
And so that, like, that's a very clear example, but here we are consuming that, seeing that,
Yeah.
and not even realizing that we're starting to take on that. I mean, it's just why action movies have become more and more and more intense and more action, like nonstop action, because we've become desensitized. It's no longer
Mm-hmm.
feels like action packed. So what do? We put something in every single second of a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a little, if watch an action movie from 30 years ago, you're gonna be
Right.
like, this is so slow. So that's an
And it doesn't.
example of like how
Yeah.
we've become,
Yeah.
like our
You're right.
brains have changed.
Right. Literally, action movies open with action now. Like bombs going off, shit blowing up, guns everywhere. Like
Yeah.
it. Like you used to look forward to like the end scene.
Yeah.
Right. Like it was the end scene that, oh, I can't wait. Right. It was the anticipation
Yeah.
of the end scene. Like the end scene. Oh, it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
And now it's like, no, this John Wick. Everyone better fucking die. Right. Like,
It's
I want
wild.
guns and bombs everywhere.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh,
So,
all right.
but so yeah, right about that. Right about your trauma of being overly sensitized while being desensitized at the same time.
Right.
And I'll let Bree wind us down a
Oh
little bit with some
gosh. Wow.
breath.
Yell, scream, shout. All right. Close your eyes if you can, or find a soft gaze. Grab your closest puppy. Grab your dog, grab your cat, grab your hamster. Sorry, you might hear a nice little pup right here. Close your eyes, soft gaze. And let's just take a deep inhale through the mouth and a big exhale through the mouth. And seal the lips and breathe in through the nose. And then a long, slow exhale through the nose. And continue breathing in and out through the nostrils. And expand your awareness from your breath to the entirety of your body. Observing the sensations, any tingling, anything you feel at all in the body. And notice how the longer that you slow down your exhales, slow down your breath cycles, maybe it was even just a closing of the eyes, just how it impacts these sensations. Notice if it changes the general feeling throughout you. And if it doesn't, notice that too. And just absorb the impact that your breath is having on you. Know that you can always come back to this feeling. And you can also always change this feeling through your breath. And then when you feel ready, if your eyes are closed, you can slowly flutter them open.
Awesome. Thanks, Bree.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
See ya.
Yeah.